brought me is my own journey. As a young woman, as a young child, actually, I was always struggling with health issues, and they were unexplained. There was never a reason or a cause. And
Okay.
when I grew older, I started thinking for myself. So, and at the age of 31, I hit a big wall of almost dying on a viral infection on my lungs,
Hmm.
and that's where I flipped my script by diving into the knowledge of the body, mind, and the food.
So, welcome to VisionCast Network, where intention, collaboration, and technology gather in service to humanity. Today's guest is Gina Kroezen. Gina helps overachievers with health challenges, unexpected health challenges that are related to childhood trauma. And there's always a connection between the mind, body, and food. So, welcome, Gina. It's great to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So, let's open it up. Let's take a deep dive into how you got into this line of work, which I find absolutely fascinating, and what is prompting you to move forward even more in your service to humanity.
What brought me is my own journey. As a young woman, as a young child, actually, I was always struggling with health issues, and they were unexplained. There was never a reason or a cause. And
Okay.
when I grew older, I started thinking for myself. So, and at the age of 31, I hit a big wall of almost dying on a viral infection on my lungs.
Hmm.
And that's where I flipped my script by diving into the knowledge of the body, mind, and the food, and how it all was connected.
So there was an adversity
Yes.
that was very dramatic and traumatic.
Yeah. My mom left when I was 8, and she left for a narcissistic abuser, and it was very
Okay.
severe. And so there was a lot of anxiety and a lot of danger also, because we're always looking back if something was happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So your autonomic nervous system was trained to fight or flight. Is that correct? Fight, flight, or freeze?
Yes. Yes.
And how did that impact your physiology? How did that impact your body?
In the first instance, I was just not sleeping,
Not
and then
sleeping.
I developed anorexic mindset. So I started,
Anorexic mindset. Yes.
yeah, yeah, and then slowly but gradually, I started to develop more, sorry, more illnesses like hormone imbalances, gut health
Hormone
related,
imbalances. Yes.
yeah, and a low immunity.
Low immunity, yes. And so how did you move through those challenges? How did you move through them to a state? You obviously look very healthy now. How did you move through those challenges to your current state of health? Would you say that you're healthy?
Yeah, I'm very healthy
You're
now.
very
Yeah,
healthy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. By studying, I started to do research what the gut was, what for an impact it had on health, and why I was struggling with my gut health all my life.
Okay.
And so from one study, I led to another, and so I continued studying. And actually, in my 40s, my early 40s, I had another setback
Okay.
with a back injury, and I had to switch my occupation from a massage therapist. And then I
Uh,
thought, okay, I'm continue working with health and people, and so I started to study again, and I developed myself uh, to where I am now. So the last
beautiful.
10 years, I became a coach, a holistic coach, and a gut health therapist.
So it sounds like you've always been interested, correct me if I'm mistaken, you've always been interested in the healing arts.
Yes, yeah. As a little kiddo,
As a little kid, when did that start as a little kid?
I think from the moment I could walk.
From the moment you could walk.
Yeah, I
So
was always nurturing people,
you're
always.
always nurturing people. That's beautiful. What are some of the earliest memories as a child that you have of desiring to be a nurturing presence?
Um, um, what I can remember that I was always preparing food and drinks, and I was 4 years old. I still remember that day that I was climbing on a crutch. How do you say? I do a little stool. How do you say that in England?
A little
The
stool, yeah.
English
Uh-huh.
stool. And I made coffee for my parents,
You made coffee for your parents. Yeah.
and they were mad at me because I had no idea what kind of danger I put myself into by boiling water and making
Okay.
coffee.
So you wanted to do something wonderful for your parents who you love,
Yeah.
and you were coming from a place of innocence and pure desire to be of service, yes?
Yes. Yeah.
And then you were told that you were doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So this is oftentimes what happens when we're children, right, Gina? We
Yes.
were instructed what to do right by being told what we did wrong.
Yeah.
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 That's happened to you, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Probably
Many
other people.
times.
Yeah. If you're watching this, raise your hand if you've experienced that. Right on, yes. So this is the way of our world, and that impacts us, and it impacts how we behave going forward in the future.
Yeah.
'Cause nobody likes to be told that they're doing something wrong.
Mm.
Yeah, and so that's an early childhood memory, and I would imagine that you've replayed that in your mind more than once, correct?
Yeah. It's a memory that I still know 50 years later. So
You know it 50
yeah.
years later, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's still part of your awareness. Yeah.
Yeah.
You are reminded of that. So nonetheless, you decided to persevere and to go on serving.
Yes.
But it wasn't just an easy journey.
No, it was absolutely not, because I struggled the first 31 years very much. Yeah.
Struggled the
Yeah.
first 31 years, right? Yeah. And then after you got through the first 31, the rest has been really easy, right?
No, it never is.
No?
You have to make
Yeah.
it easy for yourself.
You have to make it easy for yourself.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. So, how would you say you have made it easy for yourself? Easy being a relative word, right?
Yeah. I definitely had to make some drastic changes.
Made some changes.
Yeah. So I was born in a very toxic family system.
Toxic
So,
family.
and at the age of 35, I left my hometown and moved to Amsterdam, 200 kilometers away. And there I
Okay.
started my own life on my own terms. And
Started your own life on your own terms. Yes.
that's where the true healing took place. Yeah.
So, do you find that in the eye of that hurricane,
Yeah.
meaning in the middle of that storm, where there's maybe a pause or a need for a reset, that some of the greatest advancements occur?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, what was a turning point where you realized, hey, I'm in the eye of a hurricane and I'm going to make some powerful changes? What is
Uh,
an example of when that happened in your life? Because I think the listeners would be interested in maybe seeing that and understanding that, wow, maybe I can do this too.
yeah. Um, the real moment was when I almost died with the viral infection on my lungs, but I was 31 at that point. So I had to prepare myself, and I didn't know how, but I did know that I needed to change a lot. So
Okay.
what I did was studying. That was my hobby. I was
Okay.
always studying. And then I started to write my own business plan. And on the other hand, I was also busy with how can I take care generally good for myself. So I had to
Mm,
change my food habits. I was always exercising, so that was always good.
okay.
There were a few things that I needed to get rid of, and that was my food that needs to be better, and my thinking, because I was
Ah,
brought up with much of negativity.
right. So that there, the childhood trauma,
Mhm.
and then this is at a point in time when you had this viral infection, correct?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, okay, I'm exercising, I'm fueling my body in healthy ways, but I need to work on my mindset. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So in that perfect storm, in that eye of that hurricane, you had an aha moment.
Hmm. I was dying, so I
You
was
were
so
dying.
happy. I was so happy. I woke up every morning. I was every day of that period that I was awake, and I was thinking, I'm still here. I'm still
Mm,
here. I need to do something about it.
I need to do something, yes.
Yeah.
And was that a state of gratitude, a state of appreciation, a state of
Yeah.
great awareness? How would you describe that
It was
transformational time?
it was awareness, but it was also gratitude, but it was also
Awareness.
a bit of wondering, how could I get here? How,
Wow.
how, how could this happen to me? And why did I let this happen to me?
Hmm. So awareness, gratitude, and self-reflection.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have the awareness, then we have the gratitude of having made it, and then there's the how did I get here? If I can understand how I got here, then that could be valuable to other people.
Yeah.
So, what did you learn in that process, Gina?
What I mostly learned was that the life that I have been living, that was
Hmm.
told to be normal, that I had to accept that it wasn't normal, that I need to
Mm.
change, that I had a mind of my own, that I was not obligated to anybody to stay in that place.
Okay.
And so that was my most valuable insight, because I was always in, um, I always felt that I needed to stick to the plan from the family, from
Ah,
the
yeah,
surroundings. Yeah.
yeah. Don't make the coffee as a metaphor. Do not make the coffee.
No, no,
And
no.
those things that they just keep coming back, right? And these
Yeah,
unexpected, like these imprints from the past, these applications, these ideas,
yeah,
until we do something about them, they continue showing up in our life. Yes.
absolutely.
So I'm curious, how do you work with your clients to change their their patterns, their imprints? How do you work with your clients to do that?
That depends on what the help question is. So as today, I had also a very nice and very insightful conversation with somebody who was early 60, and she's constantly talking about details of conversation with other people at work, and then I dive in. So where do you find yourself in your past if you
Okay.
have this feeling of anger and resentment and being ignored? And then she's like, huh? Yeah, when I was in an orphanage. So, oh, you were
Wow.
in an orphanage. Yeah. And then she started talking. And then food came up today on a discussion, and all the aspects came out. So it was such a valuable conversation. So it depends on which door opens in a
Ah,
completely different sentence or intention of the story.
so this is beautiful. So you open up a space for a conversation,
Hmm.
and in that conversation, consciousness or that space that you've created informs what wants to happen in terms of the healing.
Yeah,
So it's you provide a custom tailored collaborative environment for healing.
yeah,
So your healing process is very much collaborative with your client.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And so in a way, are they kind of like a co-therapist or a co-coach?
Mm,
Are they
really?
like are you like teammates in this process?
Yeah, I share part of my story, or I give him something to connect with.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So you co-create the solution is what I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
based on what it
absolutely,
is that they give you.
absolutely.
That
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Beautiful. So how did the client in this last session, how did they feel after the work together? And this was today, yes?
She was radiating.
She was radiating.
Yeah,
Why do you think she was radiating?
because somebody heard her story.
Somebody
Somebody,
heard her story.
yeah, she felt
Yeah.
seen and heard,
She felt seen and heard and
and
maybe
she,
even a little bit surprised that if I may, a little bit surprised that wow, How did Gina get all of this information out of what it is that I just shared? It's because she listened to me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Beautiful. That makes the world a lot smaller, yes?
Yeah. And what the most important part for her was that she finally found something that she could work with.
She found something that she could work with because knowledge is power when
Uh,
applied.
yes.
So she can do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of like your story. You went through these like dark night of the soul, gained all this information, and now you're applying what it is that you've learned in service to other people.
Yeah.
So it's like this beautiful full circle.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you feel about what it is that you're doing now?
I love it.
You love it.
So
It
yeah.
shows.
Yeah.
It
Thank you.
shows. Yeah, it shows. Beautiful. So I've got two more questions for you. Is that okay?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So the first question is, what is the single most important thing you would like the listeners to take away from this conversation that we've had today that they can implement and maybe improve the quality of their life? Single most important thing.
Single most.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it's to observe what's coming back to you daily or maybe weekly,
Okay.
where you bump into and that's not helping you or that's even a disservice to your life.
Hmm. So is
Whether
that
it's the neighbor or somebody else, tiny things that will constantly come back and where you can get a grip on.
interesting? So is that kind of like making friends with your life experience to see what that life experience desires to present to you because you can learn
Yeah.
from that?
Yeah, so that and that it's like mirroring something in you
Mirroring something in you, right? You know,
where you need to what's presented to you to work with.
presented, right? It's like
Yeah,
that shadow side that comes up, right?
yeah,
It's not my fault, it's their fault. Yeah, right.
yeah,
Yeah, right. Beautiful. Love that. So, be willing to observe your life and all that occurs, not just the wonderful things, but also the things that might feel a little bit uncomfortable.
yeah,
That's beautiful. I love that. Because in that, there is a seed of wonderful opportunity to make a change.
absolutely.
And in a way, your client earlier today felt listened to, felt heard.
Yeah.
I would imagine that also by observing our life, we are hearing that part of our life that really has a message for us. So it's
Hmm.
really all about listening,
Absolutely.
being willing to listen. Love that.
Yeah.
So that's a big takeaway. I'm going to take that away from, be willing to listen. As my colleague Gina says, be willing to listen, right? Just be willing to listen because you will find a greater truth that wants to be heard, than it needs to be heard. And by listening and applying that truth, we live a better life,
Yes.
more rewarding life. Love that. So last but not least, how can people find you? How can people get in touch with you?
I'm on Facebook, so
Facebook.
it's the most easy road to connect. And I have a website. I have a Facebook group,
Okay.
and I'm on Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram, and a website. What is your website address?
That is healthstylist.eu, Europe, from Europe, EU.
Okay, so healthstylist.au.
Yeah,
Beautiful. And then on Facebook, it's
my name just Gina Kroezen.
spell your last name, please.
It's Kroezen.
Kroezen.
Yeah,
Okay. And then Instagram is the same.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
beautiful. Well, Gina, I so very much appreciate you spending some time today and investing your time in. And I've enjoyed this conversation, knowing time is not refundable. It's
Thank
a
you.
precious gift, and each moment is a blessing and not guaranteed. So
Mm.
thank you for your time and
Mm.
best of success. And I love the fact that you are an expert listener.
Thank you. Thank you
I'm
for
gonna.
having
You're very welcome. I'm going to do more listening, more and more
me.
listening. I appreciate that.
Good.
Okay. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye-bye.
Bye.